off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
All right, I hope we get this right this time. I am Dr. Marissa. Welcome to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Joe, I hope we got this in time, but we are here and it's Happy New Year. You're tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced, get happy with Dr. Marissa every Friday. Primetime drive time, thanks to my promotional bump up into KCAA, my CNBC NBC News Radio channel, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, streaming everywhere. The station that leaves no listener behind, home to Dave Ramsey and the Asian Oprah. And this is a show about hope. For 460 consecutive weeks now, I have been trying to splatter more hope and happiness on you with the show. So there's no gossip, no scandal, no K-words. None of that, because I want you to be happy 88% of the time and focus on your own reality show. So no K-words means no Kardashian talk, but it's all about you and how you can be happy and choose happy. So I've been on this mission for, I think since the book came out in 2018, and y'all know I was on tour. I was in Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, all over the place. I was in China and the Philippines in November last year or the year before, and 10 miles from Wuhan in November, shocker. And then we all got this thing called hashtag COVID, and I've been looking for hashtag COVID silver lining ever since. So thank you for staying with me. Today is an amazing show, even though it got off to a little bit of a rocky start. I just flew back in from driving up to LAX because today is Chinese New Year. Let's give a little applause for that. Of the ox, and I was born in the year of the ox, so that means in either 12, 24, 36, 48, those are the time increments. If you were born, if your age is any of those, that means you're probably born in the age of the ox. And my daughter, my oldest daughter, Chloe, she was born in the year of the ox, 1997, and it has to be, the birth date has to be beyond the February where your, February of your birth, lunar calendar. So if it's after that, that means you are an ox. And for those of you who don't know what that means, the Chinese definition of the year of the ox is bright, patient, kind, inspiring to others, makes an outstanding parent, yet good alone. And Chinese astrology says there's, depending on when you're born, there's certain time or certain other astrological signs by the year, not the month, that you should marry. So I should marry a rooster. And I think from last week's show, he said that was 4 years apart. And then I have to avoid sheep. So sheep, I think, is 2 years away. So there's a little bit of, stuff in there. If you missed last week's show with my master feng shui, his name's Roger, and we had a great show last week. Just go to my YouTube channel, free subscribe, and that way you can prepare yourself. Today is Chinese New Year. Eat noodles, because it's a symbol of long life, yes. And it is also important to not cut your hair today or sweep the floor. So you have a good reason not to do any cleaning, because if you do, that means you're going to sweep away or wipe away or wash away all of your good fortune. So we don't want to do that. We want to keep all that inside. And that is why today is one of the reasons why it's so special. I got to drive to LAX to pick up my daughter, who flew in from San Francisco for Chinese New Year for a 2-hour layover. I gave her red packet. For those of you who don't know, it's like a cross between Christmas and Hanukkah. You get money in a red packet, and I gave the one I had away to her. Sorry, but those packets contain money. So who gets money on Chinese New Year? Well, it helps if you're Chinese, and the people that give it to you are your elders, so a generation above, and you have to be unmarried and or be a child. So I don't have to give my niece Christina any red packet because she got married to Aaron, so that's a little less money. And but I did give them to my daughters, and how much, it's totally up to you. I gave $44 because it's COVID, but 4 + 40 = 8. 8's a lucky number in Chinese. It's a homonym for good fortune. Last year, when I was a little more cash rich, I gave $88. And when my daughters were in school at McGaw in Seal Beach, I was known as the Chinese New Year mom. And I would come, and every Chinese New Year, I would make fried rice. Susan Humphreys can tell you, and Lonnie Beggs and Penny Gower and Jackie, all the Seal Beach moms will tell you that their kids love Chinese New Year because I would bring fried rice, and everybody would get a little fried rice, and then I would also give the red packet with money in it. And I was giving $1, so that's $60, 2 classes. And then my mom told me, you actually have to give an even amount of dollars, which is $2 a packet, which began to get a little expensive. So we just ignored that part of the tradition. I'm sure they had good luck anyways. Plus, the kids were starting to, get into every time they saw me, hi, Dr. Mom, 新年快乐，红包拿来, which is the flippant way of saying Happy New Year. Translated, Happy New Year, where's my red packet? So we don't want to do that. But let's start with giving you a little Chinese lessons. We did this last week. Some of you couldn't make it. So today you can impress your friends and say, 新年快乐. 新年快乐. So those of you who are on chat now, I want to hear it. 新年快乐. Now that's Mandarin. I know you thought I was Swedish. That's Mandarin for 新年 is New Year, and 快乐 is happiness. So 新年快乐 is happiness. Now you got to be really careful of the intonation, because if you say 新年快乐, it means wash your face quickly, and we do not want to do that. So 新年快乐. If you would like an easier way of doing it, see, Timothy knows because his wife is Asian and his son is half Asian. So I'm sure you've taught Shan, my Facebook godson, how to say 新年快乐 as well as 恭喜发财. So some of you, or many of you, probably already know the gong hi fat choi that you see on the signs. That's actually Cantonese, which is different than Mandarin. It's a dialect, but it's a very well-known dialect. A lot of Chinese people speak Cantonese from the province of Canton. Many of those went to Hong Kong. So Hong Kong is largely Cantonese. Mainland China is split up into different provinces. You're getting a history lesson on top of this. So the ones that speak Mandarin are, all over. But Mandarin is actually called 普通话. And 普通话 means the common language, or the language that unifies all of the languages. So it's hard to equate that in America, because our dialects, maybe Southern accent is the closest thing to a dialect. You have your Boston accent, you have your New York accent, you have Florida, a little bit of accent. California, they say we have an accent, I can't hear it. But it's English, pretty much English. But Chinese is a little different. Chinese is all Mandarin, is the 普通话. So everybody's supposed to technically know how to speak Mandarin. And then on top of that, have a dialect that they know. So the closest thing I can think of is in England, when the United Kingdom included, Ireland and Wales and Scotland, you would speak the British English or the Queen's English, and then you would have your dialect, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, but now they're all separate countries, so it doesn't apply. But in the early days, that's probably the closest thing that I can think of that corresponds to what I'm talking about. So when you hear differences in Chinese, that's what it is. And it's very different. So I'll give you a demonstration. We are going to get to Valentine, but because it is Chinese New Year's today, I wanted to spend a little bit of time, and it's my show, and I'm Chinese, teaching you a little bit about my Chinese roots. So I hope that's okay. So if I say 1 to 10 in Cantonese, and I don't know a lot again, my brother speaks Cantonese much better than I do, not the brother Michael Bernard Beckwith, but my bio brother Daniel Pei. But if you say 1 to 10 in Cantonese, it's let's do it the other way. Let's do Mandarin first. So Mandarin 1 to 10 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 1 to 10. And you can hear, a little bit sing-song, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But if I say it in Cantonese, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I messed that up a little bit, but you can hear the vast difference between Mandarin and Cantonese. That's why when you say 恭喜发财, it's very different than 恭喜发财. So now you understand why it doesn't sound the same. Okay, so there's your happy Chinese New Year lesson for the year. It's an auspicious year. Roger, in fact, I just talked to my uncle in Maryland and wished him, he's my father's youngest brother, and it's traditional, just like on Christmas, that you call your family to wish them a Happy New Year. So he's my only remaining elder in my father's side. So my Uncle Patrick also has heard that, according to Chinese astrologers, that the year of the ox is going to be a really good one. So since I'm all about hope and happiness, that is exactly what we're going for. This is going to be an amazing, wonderful, fabulous, great year. Yes? Yes. 很好，新年快乐，红包拿来。Send me your red packets. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed that. That's a little something special for today's show opening. And now we are going to move into the topic. So the topic for today is also red. It's love is in the air. Love is in the air. And you'll know that every year for Valentine's, I've had several special guests. Dr. Pat Allen's show has been amazing. I had her on, and please go enjoy on my free subscribe YouTube channel. I think it's the #1 most watched interview after 8 years on the air and on camera. So that's a great show, so go watch that. I also had, do you remember the Captain and Tennille? Love will keep us together. Think of me. Yeah. So she was on, and that's a great interview that I hope that you enjoy. She was married to the captain for 40 years and sang about love, wrote about love, and her story is unbelievable. So that's all I'm going to tell you. But make sure you listen to that. So I just found out I'm a master podcaster because I have over 400 podcasts, which I didn't really know. But I just thought I was a show host. But apparently I'm a podcaster too. So make sure you go and enjoy those on Stitcher and Spotify and Spreaker and all of that. And iTunes, of course, and iHeartRadio, of course. All right, so topic for Valentine's. There's a couple of questions that have come in from my studio audience through email and messenger, and nobody wanted to come on camera with me to ask these questions. So because they wanted to be anonymous, even though I guaranteed that they would, they decided not to. So I'm gonna call one of them Bob and one of them, well, I should call them Chinese names. So let's see, I'll call one of them, what's a Chinese name? Well, my Chinese name, by the way, is Bei Nian Feng. So here's another Chinese lesson, is there's 3 characters in Chinese names. The first character is your surname, your last name, and then your second name is the family name. So the surname and the family, what's the word I want to call it? It is actually a generational name. So my middle name and my brother's middle name and my cousin's middle name are all Nian. Nian means learned, okay? It goes like this. And learned is to identify we were all in the same generation. So it's an interesting, not all Chinese families do that. I've told that affluent Chinese families do that to keep track. So my father's side is actually quite affluent. Some of you may know my father's cousin, the very famous architect I.M. Pei, who designed the pyramid in front of the Louvre in the east wing of the gallery in Washington, D.C., and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Ohio. So my father's family and I.M. Pei's grandfather's family actually were quite affluent in China. I'm telling you more Chinese stuff than I am Valentine stuff, but I'm sure you'll deal with it. But what's interesting about the way my father's family and that side of the Pei family grew up, they had so much money that the boys would be dressed up as girls, so they would not get kidnapped and ransomed, even though my father's elder brothers still got kidnapped and ransomed. It was just part of what they did. Go figure. But if you do go visit China, when it's safe to do so, and you go to a place called Suzhou, there's actually a tourist site called Siziling, which is Lion Forest Garden. And that is where my father grew up. It was the summer home, very beautiful, natural formations from coral that look like lions, lion forest, that my great-great-great-grandfather brought over from the Dead Sea. And so that's still there. And there's a plaque there put up by the Chinese government that says the Pei family kindly donated this property. It was confiscated. 61 deeds of property of my father's family was confiscated, and they got 1 back. But that still doesn't mean we're going to discriminate against Chinese, and the communist government. We're not going there. Everybody does the very best that they can do. If they could do better, they would. But if you ever do go to Suzhou, you can say, oh, that's Dr. Marissa's family home. So now I'm done. Now we're going to go to Valentine's. And if you've just tuned in and you're wondering what I'm rambling about, my name is Dr. Marissa. I am your happiness guru. I am your celebrity interview host for Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. Also now Get Happy with Dr. Marissa because of the book that I was on tour with. So today is both Chinese New Year, today's the actual Chinese New Year, and 2 days before Valentine's Day. So I thought we would talk about a little bit of my Chinese heritage and now about love and romance and soulmates and do relationships have to be that hard? No pun intended. So we're going to go to that. And I have two questions from, oh, I know how we got on this. I was naming Chinese names. So let's say, I could say Mulan, but let's just say, what's a good Chinese name? A girl's Chinese name. We'll just call her Chloe because that's my daughter's name. And then one of my extended family son's name is Shay. So we'll call the guy Shay and the girl Chloe. And so Chloe wrote into me and said, you know, I have a relationship and I think he's my soulmate because we just keep coming back together but it's not always good. And in fact, it's one of those love-hate relationships, but I think he's my soulmate and I don't know how to decide whether to stay or go, or if this is it or not. And I don't know what I should do. So if you have anybody that is remotely in that situation, you'll want to share this. This is just my opinion, and a lot of it's from my coaching practice as a life balance and relationship coach, as well as going through a marriage. I do everything once, marriage and divorce, although Victoria reminded me on Instagram that I had 2 girls, so I can't do everything once. But how do you know? How do you know when you have met your soulmate? How do you know that you're with your soulmate? And if I have already had my soulmate and he died, is there another soulmate? So I wanted to weigh in on this because I see that this whole concept of soulmate has created a lot of unhappiness in relationships. So on this auspicious 2021 Valentine's Day that most people have no clue it is even Valentine's coming up because we're all fluxed up as to what day, time, month, or year it is. It is Sunday, and you're not going to have to fight for a room in restaurants, fortunately, unfortunately, and you will most likely get takeout. But we do want to support small businesses, especially our restaurants. But what this whole concept of soulmates has been a little problematic in a lot of my clients and a lot of people that I speak to. I have clients, every single client that I have worked with on relationships has had this question: do I stay? Do I go? When do I know I've tried enough at a relationship to let it go? So I have a couple things to say on that because, you know, I pretty much a little bit opinionated, and I'll give you one of those and then we'll go to break. But the first thing I'd like to address is this BS, this belief system that there's just one, that there's only one soulmate, and your whole life is to try to find that soulmate. So understandably, when we are inundated with, I grew up in a very, a conservative, fundamental Baptist upbringing where there's one person, you wait till you get married, it's the only one, and it lasts you, till death do us part. I think most religions are like that. Divorce is not okay. Then my Chinese culture was also that. I was told by my aunt, I don't agree with this marriage. I don't agree with you picking this man. But if you do, just know that that's it. There's no divorce. So I grew up like that. I don't know if you grew up like that, but the other end of the pressure is not from church and religion, or society. It's from fairy tales, Snow White, Cinderella, Jerry Maguire, right? One person to complete you. Cinderella and the prince. There's no two princes. There's one prince ride into the sunset. Snow White, one prince rescuer. Every single fairy tale, it's a one-on-one, no two. You know, if you mess up on the one, too bad. That's it. And that's bullshitaki. Because, why do I know that to be true? Is because I cannot believe that people who never have a soulmate, never find a soulmate, those who had a soulmate and they die, are not allowed or have the opportunity to have another relationship that is important. So am I saying that there's hundreds of soulmates? No. Am I saying there's only one soulmate? No. I believe, and I believe this because it is happier making that I choose to believe this than if I believed what I grew up with. Because if I choose to believe what I grew up with, then I had a failed marriage. I don't even like that term. It's not true. A failed marriage is, it implies that you are a failure. And you are not a failure. If you got divorced, if your relationship did not work out till death do us part, that does not mean that you are a failure. It just means that the shelf life of that particular relationship in your book of romance has been completed. And that's all it means. Is that a mic drop or a drum roll? I absolutely believe this because it's almost, and at the risk of, I'll add a little humor here. I remember interviewing this guy and he said, I am polyamorous. And I thought he said, I'm Pollyanna. So I said, I'm polyamorous too. And they said, and he goes, oh, really? And then my my sound engineer said, polyamorous is not Pollyanna, Dr. Marissa. So I was corrected. But so I am not advocating polyamorism either, because I do believe in a committed, loving relationship. I had to be yelled at and raked through the romance coals by Dr. Pat Allen so many times. I do believe in committed relationships. What I just don't buy into is into failed relationships. And there's so much unhappiness in the world because we condemn relationships that don't work. And let's face it, majority of our relationships are not going to be lifetime relationships. So why do we put that pressure on ourselves? And that's why it's really not fun to date anymore, because as soon as you start dating, you're 10 miles down the line thinking, well, are they going to be the one? Are they the one? Is this it? Are they the one? Can I see them, can I see having children with them, growing old? It's like, whoa, Nelly, can we focus on, am I going to have a good time with you tonight? Wherever we end up, well, these days we can't go anywhere, but whatever we're doing, am I having a good time 80% of the time? Am I in my moment, in my present centered self, enjoying the company of the person that I'm with, that I have some attraction for? And so that is, I think, the alternative to the soulmate mentality of the one, which drives us crazy in almost every relationship and ruins most relationships before they start, and certainly ruins the end of the relationship, because what comes with this soulmate expectation? The soulmate expectation says, if I meet you and I like you and there's an attraction and I'm in my first trimester of my 9-month relationship. So I have this 9-month relationship model, my pregnancy model of relationships that I'm going to share with you today as part of this Valentine special, answering Chloe's question, is this a soulmate or not? And that is, I'm going to ask Chloe, and she's listening, the first trimester of your relationships, my guess is that you guys were really aligned and tuned, and there was, butterflies and oh my God, we talked for 6 hours, and where did the time go? And it just feels like I've known you my entire life, and everything, we're finishing each other's sentences, and oh my God, he's so cute, or she's so beautiful, and oh, I can't believe it, and da-da-da-da-da. I've done it, trust me. That's why I do this so well, is because I know it, and I also understand it, and I see it for what it is. The first part of every relationship is the best it's ever going to be, because you are projecting your best you onto their best them that they're showing you, and you make promises from that place that you cannot guarantee that you're going to make. Right? You don't know if you're going to love them forever. You don't even know who they really are. You haven't seen the real side of them. You've only seen what they want to show you. Everybody does that. Don Miguel Ruiz's book, Mastery of Love, is one of my relationship Bibles. And he says, when you're dating, you are shopping and you are displaying yourself in the marketplace. So you're not going to show your worst self. You're going to show your best self. But then you've got the best self that is covering some of the worst parts of you, looking at the best projected parts of the person and hiding the overly ripe or the not ripe side on the bottom of the fruit in the display case. And so, of course, things are going to be said. Of course, you're going to love them. And of course, you're going to say, oh, I finally found my soulmate. I'm so happy. And now I'm looking through bride magazines, and now I'm thinking about my kids' names and where we're going to live, and what, now I'm going to get really interested in what they're doing, right? Because I really want to know, are they going to be able to support me? Am I going to be able to support them? I don't want to get married and all of this stuff that comes with soulmate mentality that is completely unrealistic, because after the first trimester comes the second trimester in my Dr. Marissa's pregnancy model of relationships. And what is the second trimester? You no longer feel the glow. You no longer feel the butterflies and the flowers and romance. You feel the reality of who people are. And the reality is the other side of the fruit, right? It's still that person, but yeah, they are late a lot. Or yeah, they talk a lot. Or yeah, they don't talk a lot. Or yeah, they don't text back a lot. Or yeah, they're disgusting with the burping and the farting and the crass and the drinking, whatever it is, that is who they are. Just like you are who you are, and you without your makeup is or you without your Spanx, or you without, the things that we do. I just never understood. Makeup I can understand. But, like false pieces of yourself under your clothes, like, isn't the goal to get your clothes off? And how do you explain that? So I am, I digress. Let's go back. The second trimester of my pregnancy model of relationships is the reality. Now, this is usually the time when you think you found your soulmate, when you say, not this one, next. Okay. Wow. I wasn't warned about this, or wow, I really, how could I, that they didn't show that, but this is unacceptable. And, how dare they? And what happened to the flowers, and what happened to the, I'll love you forever. And what happened to the, all the romance, and what happened to the opening of my doors, and what happened, I know millennials, you'll have to look that up. What happened to all these things that used to happen and are no longer happening anymore? What happened? It's not the same person that I met, but it is the same person that you met. You are just meeting the underside of the fruit, just as they are meeting the underside of your fruit. So when you have a relationship that ends between 3, 4, 5, 6 to a year, months, in the second trimester, and then all of a sudden that person is the devil incarnate, or someone who is gross, and how could I have been so stupid, and you beat yourself up and you beat them up, it's not useful and it's not fair. They were not the only one. They were someone that you were trying out. Right? Abraham Hicks, I love the way she says, I like you a lot right now. Let's see how it goes. Right? Right now, we're having a good time. Are you having a good time? So this is the answer for Chloe, the made up name of anyone who's wondering, should I stay or should I go? Is this my soulmate or not? The first thing I'd like you to do is just get rid of that word. Get rid of the pressure of soulmate. Is this someone that I want to spend my time with for the next month, or today, or tomorrow, or next week, or month? But don't make it a lifetime. That's way too much pressure. You don't know, you're going to change. They're going to change, right? It was difficult enough for you to find someone you were attracted to in the first place, right? And we all change. We want to change. Who the heck wants to stay the same for their entire lives, right? So if you don't, if you're not having a good time 80% of the time, if you don't appreciate, respect, value, want to spend time with 80% of the time with that person, if you don't like who they are 80% of the time, then no, it's time to end that chapter of your relationship and move on to the next chapter. Maybe not a romance, maybe a little time with you, maybe a little loving yourself, finding out, you learn what you really like, you learn what you don't like, right? Abraham Soulmates. So that is a good knowing, right? That's a good experience. You don't have to blame them and accuse them of lying and making promises that they couldn't keep. You made promises, they made promises that were unrealistic. You were in the first trimester. Second trimester, you find out the truth. Now, what if you find out, and I have clients all the time when they come to me for relationship coaching, she will, most likely it's a she will say, because women are much better at saying, I like this and I don't like this. Men kind of put up with some stuff for the sake of after hours, should I say. But many women will say, well, I really do. I love them. I have a good time 80% of the time. But this one thing, and then they'll go for half an hour talking about that one thing. So in an hour session, for a half an hour, that's not 20% of the time you have a problem with this. You have a problem with this over 50% of the time. So your relationship is not 80% good. It is at best 50% good. If you can't get off of that one thing that is covering or taking all of that 50%, all of that time and energy, it's time. It's time to move on. And here's what I tell my couples is, you're not doing anybody a favor by staying together, hoping and wishing that they're going to be somebody else. everybody wants to be with someone who loves them as they are, right? I've heard that a million times. I say that. Isn't it interesting that we want people to love us the way we are, and yet we don't want to love people the way they are? Hello? That seems a little unfair, unbalanced, right? Really? You are going to be that hypocritical and that unbalanced and that unfair? If you want someone to love you, you know, good, bad, and ugly, then you got to do the same. So it's important to identify what you don't like. But then when you identify what you don't like, let's look at what you don't like and how has your focus left all the 80% that is good that you say that you like, and yet you take 50% of your attention and you attach it onto that 20. It's not 20%. It is way more. And it is a problem. So the problem doesn't lie with them, it lies with you. So if you're having a problem with your relationship, the first thing I want you to do is look at, one, your expectations around soulmates, get rid of that. Two is, where are you focused? Most of us fall on the beam because we focus on those things that we don't like and don't appreciate fully what you do like. And when I work with couples, one of the first questions I ask is, when was the last time you felt appreciated by that other person? And it's really interesting. Two things come up. One is, and there's love languages, that's a whole nother lesson, different ways that people interpret love and appreciation, which is a theory that works for a lot of people, and you can look into that. I interviewed 5 sex languages authors, so you can go and look that up on my YouTube past shows. But the most important part of making a relationship work, if you want it to be 80%, is to really take 80% of your time and appreciate what that person is, was, has, is doing, is being. And so when we focus there, and one of the exercises is if you're having issues in your relationships right now, I'd like you to do this for Valentine's, is to, not do what you usually do. Not do the dinner and the present, and I mean, you can do that too. But if you want to make this a really interesting and different and bonding Valentine's, it will be to just spend some time sitting, hold hands, you're both COVID safe, I'm assuming. You've been in the same house, no masks, closer than 6 feet. Just lightly touching hands, looking into the eyes. And bring your memory back to when you first met and talk about what attracted you to them, without bringing anything that was bad in that maybe first meeting, but all the things that attracted you to that person in the first place. Can you do that? You want to try that? So if you do that, oh my gosh, we didn't take a commercial break because I'm on a roll. So we're just going to keep this going. And then I know I have to sign out very soon. I want you to do that for Valentine's. I want you to really appreciate and talk about it and remember and laugh about it. And then when both are done, if you feel like it, then you go to the next step and you actually touch each other in the ways that you like. And you take turns and you say, oh, this feels good, that feels good. And you have to take an entire 44 minutes doing that. So it's just touching, and saying, this feels good, that feels good. If you're ticklish, you know, you may have to take some numbing, whatever. But so it's all about appreciation. So hopefully this Valentine's, you know, you've lessened the expectation around soulmate. You've rediscovered what was that you appreciated in the first place. And then ask yourself, am I happy 80% of the time? And if you are, contract for another month. See where it goes. And that is it for the formal portion of this, my Valentine's episode on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get happy with Dr. Marissa. Close out with welcoming you to my Balance Bar. The Asian Oprah giveaway today is an audio book copy of 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are. This is my #1 bestseller, #1 on Amazon, #4 on Denver Post. The book is Out of Heartbreak into Love, and I narrate it in my voice. So I'm talking at you, so you can listen to it as part of your Valentine's activities. And then I will give you that if you go to drmarissa.life and put in Valentine's 2021. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. I apologize for the technical. I was rushing back from LAX, but I am so happy that you could join me. Remember, it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace.
Well, she has been dubbed the Asian Oprah, and she just wants all of us to be happy.
Dr. Marissa, aka the Asian Oprah, says the most important thing you can choose is choosing to be happy.
You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa.
That's the idea for Dr. Marissa Pay's new book called 8 Ways to Be Happy.
Many of us say, I am my own worst critic. Nobody's harder on me than I am. And my response to that is, stop it! Why are you doing that to yourself? You have to be your biggest fan, because if you can't at the end of the day say, I did a good job, who is? We don't have to constantly be angry at the things that are wrong. Why don't we choose to be happy about things that are right? We have the choice. That's our muscle. And life is so amazing if we can see it.